Hello everyone, I am back and today we're building a converted dock crane. Now, you might think, that's a little bit weird. Is that even a thing? And actually, I have seen some of these in real life. Believe it or not, it is a thing. There are some actually in Bristol and it's a pretty unique idea. They've basically converted dock cranes, as I said, into tiny homes, and the ones I've seen are actually like rental accommodation, somewhere if you want to stay somewhere a little bit different, a little bit quirky, different kind of holiday, you can go and stay in one of these. So I thought, why not try and build one in The Sims? And I have actually built a dock crane before in The Sims. It was, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago now, but I made it like a crane, as in it wasn't converted into anything yet. And I made it in sort of like a building site, just kind of run down, and it needed to be converted. So I thought, well, we'll just convert one. So it's a little bit different. It has similar, I've used similar sort of items and things to create it, but it is a bit different. And obviously I have made the insides nice and converted into somewhere where your Sims can stay or live if you want. I have made this a tiny home because I did want it to be a tiny home. So that's how it is on the gallery. But of course you can make it a rental lot because, to be honest, it probably makes more sense to be a rental lot because it'd be kind of interesting to live in one of these full time, I think. A little bit annoying having to climb up and down every day probably. That'd probably be a reason why I wouldn't. But anyway, yeah, I've made it a tiny home on the gallery, but you can make it a rental lot if you wish. And like I say, I did make one of these previously and it was just like, not anything. It just needed to be converted. So that is also on my gallery. So if, I don't know, you want to do that, give it a go. But yeah, so it's obviously very small and just, one bathroom and a sort of studio layout, all one room, sleeping, eating space. But yeah, and this is another one of those builds where I have used the Star Wars pack. You'll see the big items on the front and the back here are from the Star Wars pack. And so once I sort of start, I just think, well, okay, I will just use the Star Wars pack. But yeah, so I'm sorry, because I know it's not ideal because no one has it, but it works for items like this, And actually those items on the front and back of it are really, really cool. I didn't actually realise it until I made it nighttime, just to look at some lights, that actually they light up. So like where there's like sort of little windows almost, you can see on the front, there's almost like, because it sort of looks like somewhere you'd sit in, like a sort of front of a machinery type thing. And those little windows, they light up. I thought that was really cute. So it actually looks like there's someone in there at nighttime. Sweet. But yeah, so I obviously, because it is a dock crane, I wanted it to be over the dock. So we're building again in Evergreen Harbour in the dock area, but I don't know, I was just going to build it, on this lot, and the water being the water that's sort of in the world, if you see what I mean. But it kind of annoyed me that the crane would be like not right up against the water. So I have made this water area, that's supposed to be kind of like a continuation of the water, which is sort of around the world. In my mind, I don't know why. I mean, let's just say it, for some reason, it like the water runs underground and then pops out again. That's just what we're going with. And then I sort of made this, I've used some debug items to make a wall and then put these kind of pavement down just to make it blend in and look like, I guess kind of like a dock harbour side kind of thing. But yeah, I could have used a platform or like foundations to create this kind of look rather than obviously using those debug items. But I did want to keep the lot as a tiny home. So I didn't want to, use loads of tiles up on just doing that. So that's why I've done this. Obviously the Sims can't like walk over that because it's just like, it's all a bit fake. But it's just for decoration purposes. And then at either end, because obviously it's just kind of like this slanted land, which is kind of looking a bit weird, I've sort of, on one end, I put some rocks just piled up just to kind of make it seem like, I don't know, that it's not just the end of the water. And then this kind of footbridge that, again, obviously the Sims can't use, but it's just to kind of give the illusion of that's where the water keeps running underneath, just so it's not just cut off so abruptly, just to make it a bit more natural and blend in a little bit. So yeah, and again, I have used the big building you see behind the crane as well is a debug, like a debug building, again, because obviously I wanted to not use too many tiles, and also means that you're just paying for the crane, and not like loads and loads of buildings if I built one myself. But I thought it was quite nice, that building, because it kind of gives me like, I don't know, like old kind of shipyard vibe, kind of old, just where there would be maybe a factory or kind of just something that would be like at the docks where they'd obviously be bringing in cargo and things with the crane. So I thought that looked quite fun. And again, it's another one of these things that I didn't notice until I went at nighttime either. All the like windows light up. So I think they're supposed to be like flats in there, but I guess they could be converted flats. But yeah, they like light up and you can see they've got curtains and things. Oh, it's really sweet. Like these little details that I feel like I just never noticed before, but I guess they've always been there. But yeah, I did enjoy. And yeah, I actually did something quite exciting this weekend. I travelled down to Exeter, and one of my friends is actually getting married next year, and we looked at some wedding dresses, which was very fun. And I felt like I was in Say Yes to the Dress, to be honest. Like it was very much that vibe. And my friend actually picked a wedding dress, which was really surprising because she went into this not thinking that she would actually get one. This is the first shop she's been to. Didn't think she'd actually get one first go round, but she did. So that was really super fun. Yeah, nice little outing. Saw some lovely buildings while I was down there. Lots of inspiration. So hopefully we'll be able to build something nice that I've seen at some point. But yeah, it was a fun little weekend and a bank holiday weekend, so it keeps going, doesn't it? But yeah, so we are finally into the interior now, and as I said before, it is just a very small space, all in one room basically. I actually struggled quite a lot to do the layout of this space. I don't know why, because it's quite a nice, it's almost just a rectangle, so you'd think it would be fairly easy, but I think because I've chose those doors, because I wanted it to be very light and airy, and I guess one of the advantages of staying somewhere like this is you kind of want the views potentially, so having like lots of windows and having that big door so that you can look out and see. I mean here is just very industrial. There's a lot of shipping containers, so it's not the nicest view, but we just pretend that, I don't know, it's like one of those kind of funky harbour sides where there's like other stuff going on, and maybe we could make the lots around it, like something more interesting to look at. But yeah, I figured one of the reasons you might want to come and stay here would be to have that view. So yeah, that's why I wanted to have some nice big windows, but keep the outside very much looking like a dock crane, but the inside has obviously been really nicely spruced up. I imagine this to be like, somewhere where you could rent one of those, those like kind of fancy rental websites. I'm trying to think of the name of one, but I can't off the top of my head. But, that kind of like unique places to stay, exactly the vibe I was going for. So I felt like it'd be done up quite nice inside, quite modern, and just everything you need, very fresh, light and airy, because obviously it is quite a small space. So yeah, and then in this kind of, I guess, where would have been some kind of controller room, I don't know, connected to that front bit, is the little bathroom. And there is actually, you can't see it, but there is actually the like glass skylight window above this bathroom. It's covered with like, I used some debug, like metal kind of, I think it's actually a metal walkway from this world, from the Eco Lifestyle Pack. But I put it on the top of the crane just to give it some interesting texture. You'll see it there, the yellow sort of thing I put on top. That is like mesh metal, if you know what I mean. So it's like holy. So you can't really see from here, but there is a window underneath that, and you can, like, light does come through. I mean, like, more light would come through in real life. But yeah, there is a window. And then I do put 2 of those like fan event things that came with the new pack as well, the new garden-y pack. So that also brings in some light too, because I always just feel like, you know, it needs some nice air in there, some nice light in there, but I didn't want to just put big windows on there because I felt like it's a bit much for a bathroom. But yes, so we've come to the end, so I will leave you some screenshots and see you in the next one. Bye!